Nate Edwardson recently said in his podcast that the open is no longer exciting because it is inconsequential. Maybe, just maybe, we're just looking at it all wrong. Let's riff. Welcome back to Scott Riffs. Where has CrossFit missed the mark? And I want you to listen closely because she does something very tricky here that really pissed me off. You are not presenting accurate facts. You are manipulating what you're presenting to suck people into your narrative. CrossFit takes note or gets out of the way. One or the other, because this train's moving forward because of people like you. I'm too much of an alpha at times to want to conform too much. And I would rather be all of me. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Scott Riffs. Hanging out with you tonight. We've got Kat in the background producing, hanging out in the chat. So say hi to her as well. The reason I'm doing this riff is I've heard a lot of criticism about the Open over the last week or so. And I just wanted to kind of grab some of that and give my opinion as to what's going on. I opened the show that Nate Edwardson had said in a very disgusted kind of tone that the Open was no longer exciting because it was inconsequential. No longer are you fighting for a regional spot. You're just fighting for the 10%. And that takes away a lot of the excitement from the Open. And my answer to that is it's all about perspective. Perspective is that you're looking at this as a test for an elite athlete. Yeah, 10% is not hard for the elite athletes to make. But the beautiful thing about the CrossFit Open is you and I get to compete against the best in the world, the finest athletes out there. We get to compare ourselves on the leaderboard. And it takes me back to a memory back in 2014. It was workout 14.3. If you don't remember it, it was box jumps and deadlifts, and the deadlifts were increasing over time. And in that workout, I beat Bob Harper, the host of The Biggest Loser. And it was like I won the lottery. I know he's not an elite CrossFitter. And yes, this is pre-heart attack Bob Harper. But I beat him, and it gave me so much energy and so much juice that I did that I had one of the best Opens I've ever had in my life. And that Open ended with one of the worst workouts I've ever done in my life. So I needed it just to get through. So I think that elite athletes need to be a part of this. However, we have to remember that this is a community event, and the Open used to be 5 weeks. 5 weeks gave the programmers the ability to do testing in a way that made it a good test for those going on to regionals at the time. So we're not in that place anymore. And what I wanted to kind of propose to you is quarterfinals now are essentially weeks 4 and 5. Think of the Open as a CrossFit competition with 5 weeks, but there are cuts after the 3rd week. So we, the average Joe CrossFitters who don't make the top 10%, know what it feels like to be Sarah Sigmundsdottir and get the boot after 3 weeks. You get to play with the best in the world. But if you can't meet that criteria, you don't get to move on to weeks 4 and 5, which will be held this weekend. Another thing is the community aspect of the Open, I think, is getting lost in this. Our gym does the Open in a way where we take a class and we split it in half. Half the class is a judge, half the class are the athletes, and they w- you get the encouragement from that judge while you're doing the workout. You get to know that person a little bit better because you're kind of suffering together. And it's a way for the community to come together and encourage each other and work together for that. That's what it is, Bruce. Um, you know, my daughter was in sports throughout high school, was in different activities. $70 would be cheap for her to participate in any of the things that she was in. We had to pay a lot more than that for anything that way. I've done adult rec leagues where I've paid hundreds of dollars to participate in a season. So you can say that, yeah, it's a $70 open. However, that's still way cheaper than a lot of options out there for people. The other perspective I wanted to give is, or no, one of the other arguments given is separation is needed during the open. And I've heard this from multiple YouTubers and podcasters, as well as coaches. Let me ask you this: with the lack of separation, did any elite athlete not make it to the top 10% to move on to quarterfinals? Um, did any athlete lose a seating place in quarterfinals because there wasn't enough separation in these workouts? While I understand from the competition perspective that you would that you I understand from the competition that you would want to have more separation as an elite athlete, but this is just your checkbox to be a part of the community before you move on to the next level. I'm not sure I understand um, the false advertising part. Um, we pay $20. We get to do 3 workouts with the community, 4 actually with an A and a B. And the 3-week open has only been around for 3 years. And 2 of the 3 years we've done 4 workouts in those 3 weeks. So I don't think we're getting cheated for $20. Um, Bruce, the open doesn't matter at that level. Well, it does. They have to do it. If they don't sign up and do it, they don't get to move on. Um, that's all there is to it. I think we're being hypercritical. Um, and with that, uh, CrossFit is in a no-win situation. Um, so some other arguments that have been out there are the open no longer makes you hurt. That these workouts didn't make anybody hurt. I can't speak to the leaderboard being correct in the end. That's not the research I did for this. Um, Again, I would ask you, are there elite athletes that are not moving on to quarterfinals because of something that happened in the open? If we can point out that an athlete isn't moving on, then I can see your point. At this point, I think that we are being so nitpicky and so hypercritical of everything that's going on that we're losing sight of the entire season. Um, and the hurt thing, I am going to agree with you on this one, Bruce. I hurt plenty during the open, and I think it's up to the athlete. Do you want to hurt or do you not want to hurt? I actually went and filmed elite athletes this season, and I saw plenty of hurt. In fact, um, athletes came up to me after the workout and said, in a direct quote, that one hurt. So it's up to the athlete how much you want to push. Any workout can hurt if you push hard enough. So I don't understand that argument either. That, yeah, there wasn't that, 20, whatever that 21, 18, 15, 12, 9, 6 burpee over bar and thruster workout that just was awful. But yes, I hurt on a couple of these workouts pretty bad. And I think it's all up to the way you push in this. Um, and so those are the main arguments about this. Again, I think CrossFit is in a no-win situation, but I do agree they've put themselves there. I do agree that they are not defining things well enough to for people to understand what it is they're getting into. So I'm going to say that my agreements with the criticism of the open would be two things. One, the affiliate setup. I don't think CrossFit took enough time to consider the affiliates around the world in the different shapes and sizes of a box and the affiliate size in their design of the open. And I am all for getting rid of floor plans for the open. I don't think, again, going back to the no floor plan, let people in or didn't allow people that should be into the top 10% to move on to not get there. I think that is wasted energy and wasted effort. The other thing I'm going to say is definitions. You know, the only definition that has been out there for CrossFit is that CrossFit is functional movement performed at high intensity. And that is not a business description as to all the elements that we're going through moving forward. What is the open? CrossFit needs to define what is the open and then build that open to that definition, what they want it to be. Define what they want the season to be. If you want it to find the fittest in the world and not have the community aspect, then the open needs to be a different thing. But without the definitions, we're all just throwing darts at the wall, spaghetti at the wall, whatever euphemism you want to talk about. That's what we're doing. And none of us have a clue as to what CrossFit is actually trying to set up. We hear rumblings that they wanted to make it more community friendly, to get more people involved, to get the signups higher. And I think they did in some ways make that happen. On the other end, I think some of it we have to define on our own. What do we want our CrossFit Open to be? And if you can define that for yourself, then you can set your own goals. You can set your own priorities. I've said it on our show a million times. When I got the level 1 as my CrossFit level, it was my goal to not be a level 1 this year. I've been CrossFitting since 2013. I've done the open when it wasn't scaled. I've done all those things. I was much fitter years ago. And with all the injuries I've sustained and the depression I've gone through, I'm fighting to get back. And so for me, it was incremental growth this year to not be a level 1. And I didn't care what the number was. I just didn't want to be a 1 anymore. And so that was my focus on what I wanted my open to be. And hopefully when they bring out the new levels, that I will not be a 1 and I will have achieved that goal. I do know that I went up 12 percentage points in the leaderboard. So I'm hoping that that translates into at least a 2. I do want to say that, you know, I watched Hiller's video on nobody should sign up for the open. And then I saw what his actual statement was. And that was, you have to define, basically you have to define what you want the open to be. And if it matches what you want, then you should sign up for it. If it doesn't match what you want, then you should not sign up for it. So, Tomas, in the end, criticism doesn't matter, only the number of participants. Let's talk again when participation is at an all-time high, 400K. Let's see if it ever happens. Well, all I know is it increased this year from last year. It's going in a trend that makes more sense than the downward trend that was happening before that. And so the other thing I want to say is we have only had a 3-week open for 3 years. And we switched programmers midway through those 3 years. So it has had a very little time to have an adjustment. And anytime you make adjustments, it's like a pendulum swinging. I think for a brief moment, we went too far to the sports side of the open and made it where it was unreachable for the community. Now we've probably swung the pendulum too far to the other side where it's too easily reachable for the community. And maybe that pendulum needs to settle somewhere in the middle. So with that, I think that we need to give CrossFit some time. I think this is a new regime. Dawn has been the CEO for 1 year. Adrian has been the programmer for a year maybe not even. And after that, then we can start making judgments when we see what the trend is. Right now, you're just throwing stuff at the wall, and I don't know where it sticks. Nick, I don't understand why I'm killing you. Oh, it's because of my producer. Gotcha. All right. So with that, let's give them a chance. Let's see where the pendulum swings. Let's see where the pendulum ends up. And let's see what the programming is for quarterfinals and what the story is from the beginning of the Open through the end of quarterfinals. And let's see if that makes more sense than what we're talking about today. With that, if there are any questions out there, Kat, anything new? So it doesn't look like Kat has anything else for me. With that, if you guys have any other questions, I'll give you like 30 minutes. And while I'm doing, or not 30 minutes, I'll give you 30 seconds to add some questions in there. But what I do want to do is I want to promote some of the things we have coming up this week. I haven't done a riff in a while. So this riff is tonight. I'm doing another one tomorrow. That one tomorrow is Why Do the Age Group Athletes Always Get Screwed? And that is tomorrow night at 7. Immediately following that is Live Happily Ever Awesome. So you can jump right from that to Kat's show, Live Happily Ever Awesome. And if she wants to jump on and say hi, she is more than welcome to do so. If she has a comment, she's more than welcome to jump in. And then after that, on Thursday, CrossFit announced they are doing a press conference at 3:00 Eastern time, noon Pacific. We will be making we will be at that press conference. Immediately following that, we are going live to report out what we've learned during that press conference, as well as kind of previewing the quarterfinals, as we should have all the workouts at that point. Then at 7:00 on Thursday night, we have Olivia Sulik on, who stepped away from CrossFit to disciple the Word of God. And we want to hear her story as to why she was called to do that at the age of 19, to step away from CrossFit after being a CrossFit Games champion as a teen, making the semifinals 2 times as an 18 and 19-year-old, and then stepping away because she was called to do so by God to spread his word. So we're going to talk about that on Thursday. And then all weekend long, people are going to jump on to we're going to talk about the quarterfinals, how it's going, where everybody is, where they are on the leaderboard, where they may make it to the semifinals or not, what their seeding looks like at the semifinals. We'll talk about all that this weekend. Bruce, what are my thoughts on the layouts? I watched barbell spin yesterday to see what the layouts were. I think that jump rope dumbbell one is going to be something a lot crazier than it looks like. It just looks way too simple. So my guess there is start with single unders, go to double unders, then maybe the crossover double unders at quarterfinals in that one with some different dumbbell work. I did see the rings. I've seen some questions about or some predictions about toes through rings on those instead of muscle ups this time. And I have seen the wall facing handstand push up being guessed as well as one of the movements during this week, because the tape is back where the handstand push up tape was, and all of that. And Kat jumps in to say hi. And my favorite flavor of C4.
I feel like I had to.
My favorite flavor of C4 is the black can. I can hear you, Kat. I'm just talking with you right now. Is the black can Sour Bros, but that is really hard to get. So if I can't get that, then I I really like the Skittles and the strawberry Starburst. And now you guys are just getting silly. My fondest childhood memory is I was in a bad place. My football team had lost every game, and my mom wrote to my favorite football player, and he sent me back an autographed picture and a letter telling me to keep my head up. And that was a highlight of my childhood. There. Tomas, if they sell CrossFit, they sell CrossFit. We've been through it. We'll see what happens. You know, I just have to have faith that my local affiliate will be what it is, and I'll keep working out and doing my thing. You got anything, Kat? Now I can't hear you. You're muted. It keeps muting you for some reason. There you go.
How was your workout?
My workout?
Yeah.
It went fine. Yeah, I only did half of everything.
Shuttle runs, and it was a lot. It was a lot of things.
It was a lot. To get it all in the time where I am today, yeah. Still have a little bit of sinus from the dogs.
No, Nick, I was not in the tub. Unreal. All right.
How was your workout? Did you do it?
It was good. Yeah, I did it. I only did like 2 sets of the accessory work, the sandbag holds and all that, because I'm not really supposed to do that. But it was good. I went light on the deadlifts. Toes bar felt really good. Shuttle runs were fun. I enjoyed it. I didn't realize that the inverted barbell row was supposed to be like a pull-up. So we did like supinated barbell rows, like instead, like renegade rows.
Okay. Yeah, those are hard. Those are hard for me.
Yeah.
For some reason. And I went the whole show without muting myself. When it's just me talking, it's a lot easier not to mute myself because I can never hit the mute button. But yeah, I rarely get to do the accessory work because by the time we're done with the MetCon, I have to get back to work.
You're rushing out. Yeah, we have a few people that don't do it either. We call it like extra credit.
Yeah, I would say that only probably a quarter of the gym are able to stay and do it because it goes over the hour for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Bruce hurt his wrist.
That stinks.
I think we're both trying to hit it. There we go. That's bad. Yep. Any thoughts on the Open yourself since you jumped on?
Glad it's over. I'm still considering whether I'm going to do quarters or not. We'll have to see. I probably won't have time to do all of them, so I'll just probably cherry pick a few. Maybe Amy and I will go head to head on a couple.
Well, it's only 4 workouts for you guys.
True. So we'll see.
Yeah. Cool. Well, with that, guys, Bruce, good luck on your workout. Nick, go take a cold shower, and we will catch the rest of you later. Don't forget all the shows coming on tonight. 2 tomorrow night, 7:30. Don't miss those. And we'll see you next time on Scott Riffs.